Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Rise Up Sparks. Today is a relationship edition, and we are going to talk about my partner never listens to me. And I hear this all the time. And I just had an experience today with my very own husband that so much reiterates the challenges of this particular statement. So I was in the kitchen and I'm baking, and he's out in the garage doing garage stuff, creating things, getting all dirty and crazy. And he's making a lot of noise. And he smells what I'm baking, and he comes in for a snack. And these cherry turnovers that I'm making have just come out of the oven. And so I look at him and I say what I always say: they're hot. Wait a while, wait a few minutes, let them cool. But what does he do? He immediately grabs a couple of these cherry turnovers, walks back into the garage, and proceeds to burn his fingers and his mouth because he did not listen to what I said. And this is really hilarious because it happens all the time. Like, if I make pizza and I take his plate to the living room and I put it down next to him, and I always will say, "Hey, babe, it's hot. Wait, it's hot. Don't touch it." Just like we always do to, our kids too. It's hot. Don't touch, right? But he doesn't hear me. So what is going on there? Why doesn't your partner hear you when you say things that are important to you, right? Because his anticipation, his expectation, his need is already present in his head. He's already thinking about the next thing he's going to do. He's already thinking about the next thing he's going to say. He's already got planned what comes next. So when you say something and he's already got planned, or she's already got planned what comes next, they're missing that message. So when you really want your partner to hear you, you have to actually engage them. You have to actually make eye contact, connect, and engage them. And then, even beyond that, if you want to be really successful at having them hear you, you have to get him to respond. You have to get him to engage, to show you that he heard what you said. So I'm using he because that's my experience with my particular husband. Some of you guys out there are having this problem with your wives as well. And this is true for anyone. This is true for talking to children, coworkers, whatever. If you are just talking in their presence, they may not be listening, or they may be listening to respond instead of listening to understand. And those are very different ways of listening. So if you can engage and get them to listen with curiosity and to actually be present with you as you're speaking, then you can actually get them to hear you. Now, this might be say their name, make eye contact, and then say your message. And if you feel like you even need to go further, ask them if they can repeat back to you what you said. If you're in my relationship program, you've probably already done some exercises where you actually purposely do that to each other, because you wouldn't be in the program if you were hearing each other and you were able to listen actively to each other and you were able to have really conscious conversation. So, and one of the very first steps of conscious conversation, we start with saying our feelings, saying what's happening, and then asking our partner to reiterate what they just heard and what they understand of what we're saying. And that's just a tool. It's not the way that we're always going to talk to each other. It's just a tool to get you to a place where you can safely and comfortably start having really intense, really deep emotional conversations without your partner checking out and without your partner not hearing you. So this is just another example of how in everyday life, the patterns that are challenging our relationships also play out in really small, funny, non-annoying ways. and you can see what's happening a little more clearly when you're in those more funny, lighthearted ways. So again, my husband doesn't not listen to me. We have excellent communication, but when it comes to food, when it comes to something he's really into, I have to actually engage his attention and get him focused on me, and then make sure that he actually hears me. That is just came out of the oven. That is hot. It's dangerous, right? Things that we would expect our partners to hear. But he's already going, I want to eat this. This is yummy. Like, I'm ready to do this. So to disrupt his brain going in that loop of, I'm going to eat this, I have to get his attention. So in bigger ways, use that awareness with your partner in the small, funny conversations and in the really big, intense, important conversations. So again, get their attention first. Connect, then say what you need to say. And if you feel like they still haven't heard you, ask them to tell you what they've heard, to tell you what they understood you saying. And even further, if you're able, at that point, if there's an action that needs to be said, an action that needs to be affirmed, ask them if they're willing to take that action and get confirmation that they're willing to take that action, so that you can start feeling more heard, so that you can start feeling seen and understood. This is Krista B with Battle to Be, the 501c3 nonprofit organization, and Rise Up Phoenix Trauma and Crisis Institute. If you love this podcast and want to support it, you can do so by making a donation at battle2be.org. And all of the profits from this podcast do actually go to help us in our critical and crisis response efforts in our communities. So again, have an amazing day. This is your Sparks episode. I hope that this little tidbit of big information is immediately applicable to your life.